Welcome to the Mystical Truths Podcast. This is Rebecca, and I'm really glad you're here. Let's unlock your world. You have an escrow account that you may not be aware of because it's a vibrational escrow of everything you've desired. Let me explain. For many years, I've studied the teachings of Abraham. If you're not familiar, Abraham is a group of souls in non-physical for which a person, Esther Hicks, translates, which means she quiets her mind and allows their communication to be shared with us. It's also called channeling because it is literally being a channel. So it's simply receiving waves of thought and finding the word equivalent for them. And we're all doing it. It's just some are doing it more directly and on purpose. And Esther is definitely one of the best. So Abraham talks about a vibrational beingness or reality. They often call your escrow or your vortex. And this is of everything that you have had a want for or a desire for your whole physical life and before. So this is the stuff that you've created by having a desire for it. Just because it isn't in your physical world doesn't mean that it doesn't exist, because they tell us that everything that you have desired is real and is vibrating and is available to you if you allow it to be. So there's the trick right there, if you allow it to be. But it is good to know that it's there. There's so much more in your escrow or in your vortex than you can remember. So knowing that is really nice. It sounds great, but it can be frustrating if you don't know how to allow or how to access your vortex. Because we hear Abraham say over and over, just get into your vortex. Get in there where your escrow is. And I do, and I know this, I teach this. But just a little while back, I read a quote from Abraham from their Getting into the Vortex Guided Meditations user guide that added a whole new layer of understanding exactly what they mean and how it works. So I'll read the quote and then I'll explain. So this is Abraham. Even though this vortex that we speak of cannot be found on physical maps and is not indicated by physical signposts, it is a reality that exists just the same. It is your vibrational reality. And you can tell when you enter your vortex by the way you feel. You can tell by the way you feel when you exit your vortex. In fact, your personal, precise, emotional guidance system is the only effective roadmap or signpost to your vortex. All cooperative components to the furthermost expanded version of you have been gathered by the law of attraction and are held in a timeless, spaceless ever-readiness for your access and utilization in your vortex of creation. But if you are to become a cooperative component to your own vortex and to all the wonderful things that have been gathered there, you must be a vibrational match to your vortex. In other words, you too must have a high frequency, and you too must be without resistance. End of quote. So the golden nugget there, aside from the fact that this vortex is real and it exists, but the golden nugget of understanding, adding that extra layer of understanding, is when you enter and when you exit. Because as I read those words, I got a real-time experience. It was a visual and a sensing and an experiencing experience of entering a changed frequency. I could see and feel, I was right there and nothing else changed. I was standing in a room looking at my cell phone where the quote was, and I could experience in a visual, sensing, feeling way the vibrational shift from being out of the vortex to being in the vortex. It's a dimensional shift is the best way I can describe it, because there's nowhere to go. Nothing changes in your world. Everything looks the same. You feel a little different, maybe a lot different, but you can look around and you don't see anything that has changed. But what has changed is your point of attraction. You are now vibrating at a higher frequency, at a non-resistant frequency. And the only thing that made the difference was a shift in your state of being, a shift in frequency. So it can be a very subtle thing, but I think it's really important. That's a big piece of this, to be able to understand that getting into your vortex or getting to where your escrow isn't anywhere you go. And it's nothing that you have to like get somehow. It's just something that you have to be different about. We have to be in a vibrational range that matches the things that we want, that matches the things that feel good to us. Because if we're not in that vibrational range, we are in a resistant range. We're in a lower frequency range, and we are attracting the things that are in that range. We're allowing those things to be seen by us, to be present in our reality. So it's a difference of what shows up for you and what you can notice, because you can be in an out of vortex vibration and the things that you want can be right there, but you won't see them, or they just won't sync up into your days. You can be in your vortex vibration. Your world looks the same for a minute, but now what's happening is the things that you like, the things that you desire, can be seen by you, can be experienced by you, and are being synchronized up in a way that they become real in this reality that we know. So this is similar to the two-lane analogy that I received from them a long time ago, because that's saying that, if you're in a good feeling space, you're in the right lane where everything you want is, but it's very easy to just drift into that left lane where there are things that you do not desire, or better said, the lack of what you want is in that other lane. So that is something that I said, you just sort of shift from one to the other. And so the same thing here. So maybe two different ways to relate to how this really works. When we have glided vibrationally into a state of being that feels good, that emotional guidance system that they talked about is letting us know. If we don't feel so good, that guidance system is letting us know that we have vibrated out. So let me go back to their quote for just a second, just part of it. So they said, even though this vortex that we speak of cannot be found on physical maps, it is a reality just the same. Just like to our eyes, oxygen doesn't seem to be a reality, but yet we breathe it in. They say it is your vibrational reality. You can tell when you enter by the way you feel, and you can tell when you exit by the way you feel. So how do I know if I'm in that vortex escrow stuff? How do I know if I'm in that space, that state of being? Because I feel good. How do I know when I'm not attracting, when I'm not going to synchronize up to the things that I really want? I know because I don't feel good. I feel insecure. I feel unhopeful. I feel defeated. You feel just blah. When you're feeling any of those ways, what they called your personal, precise emotional guidance system is the only effective roadmap. It's really the way to know if you're in a being space that's going to work out well for you, or a being space that is not going to work out, or at least has the lack of what you're looking for on any topic. And I believe that we come in and out of our vortex all day long. So the idea here is to pay attention and be in your vortex with all that escrowed stuff more often than not. we didn't come here to be in it completely all of the time. I think that's sort of life outside of the physical. But we came into this world of contrast to look at things and see things that we don't want so that we can form more clear understanding of what we do want, which is escrowed for us. So that unwanted lane or that out of the vortex time or space is fine. It's really, really helpful. But what is hard about life is not knowing this. When you don't know that your emotions are giving you real-time feedback as to exactly whether you're in or out of your vortex of creation, whether you're syncing up with the things that you want or not. And Abraham has even said many times, you don't have to be in the vortex on the topic of the thing that you want most and stay in there and stay in there until you get it. They say, get in there for any reason, and all of the things that you want will sync because you're where they exist. So if you find anything to feel good about, if you think about anything that you really like, and you do this very often during your days, you are in that vibrational beingness more often than not, which means you are synchronizing up with more and more and more as your days go on of the things that really match what you want. And it is important to note that we can't be in and out at the same time. You can't be in one lane and also be in the other lane at the same time. It's one or the other. So when we have that feedback that tells us exactly where we're at, that's really good data, and it's good to know that that's what's going on. That's why we feel not good. That's why when you say to yourself, I'm really stupid. It doesn't feel good because the emotional guidance system that you have that's receiving feedback from source is clearly saying, we don't agree. When you think that life, you can't have the health that you want, you just can't get better. That doesn't feel good because source does not agree with that. Source is not seeing that way. So the key to being in your vortex of creation is thinking on purpose and feeling good on purpose more often than not. It's so simple. And isn't it nice to know that, like I said, there's way more in that state of being than you can remember having a desire for or putting in there. So it's really good to know that we don't have to remember everything that we've desired. We don't have to keep a notepad of the things that we want. We don't have to write these things down. It's all in there, and the versions that match you now can be made real by you. So here's why that can be difficult for us, I think, because many people have been taught to think life can't be that simple. This just can't be that simple and be true. Or many people believe it to be hard because their habits of thinking out of the vortex thoughts have a long history and a lot of powerful momentum. It can take a little bit of really conscious paying attention to start to turn those habits into new habits, different habits. Abraham tells us a habit is just a thought you keep thinking. And that's why, I always say think on purpose because you can, and then stick with it. Consistency will get you over that hurdle if there is one. Think to yourself, I'm shifting frequency, I'm shifting dimensions at will. And I think on purpose a lot, but I wanted to amp it up. I wanted to, just because I felt that extra layer of understanding that was added. We have this desire or need, I guess, or maybe habit of wanting to do something to get a result. And they do say the only thing we really have to do is find nice thoughts, find good things to think about as often as possible, which is true. I wanted a little more of a doing thing. And so I received what I call my daily med every day for 15 minutes. Doesn't have to be exact. I meditate, exercise, and daydream. Not one right after the other necessarily. And meditation is just bringing your attention to the energy, the space where you're at, and being there. Just be there. And not think about your day. Pay attention to your breathing if you want. And it's a way to give your inner being, your inner self, 15 minutes of your attention, which can do a lot for the whole rest of your day. So it doesn't have to be any big fancy meditation. You can even walk in nature and just enjoy nature for 15 minutes. That's a meditation. Exercise doesn't mean you have to work out if that's not what you're into, but just move. Give your physical body 15 minutes of your attention. So when you're moving your body, don't be thinking about other things. Pay attention to your body. Get in touch with your body. Get in tune with your body. Listen to what it tells you. Our bodies are a talking machine. They tell us if we are off course or if we've been thinking or paying attention to things that aren't going to work. Our body talks to us through pains and aches and things like that. And then daydream. Give 15 minutes of your attention to your most powerful creating tool, daydreaming, visualizing. And daydreaming is the better word because it's playful, it's light, it has good stuff in it. Right? When you daydream about the things that you like, whether you have them right now or not, because what you already have that you like is in your vortex. The vortex isn't just about things that you don't have. It contains all the things that you currently have and are experiencing in this physical reality that you like. So I would recommend don't change anything else. Just meditate, exercise, and daydream 15 minutes each or 10 or whatever. Every day, every other day. And when you're not doing those things, think on purpose because you can. Think of things that feel good. It's fun. It makes life easy. And it makes a big difference, especially if you have negative thinking habits that you want to let go of. Abraham also, there's another quote from Abraham that I'm going to read now. It's from 1997, April 19th of 1997. They say the universe does not know or care whether the vibration that you're offering is in response to something you are living right now and observing, or in response to something you are imagining. In either case, the universe accepts it as your point of attraction and matches it. And so they mean that whether you're in or out of your vortex, that's happening. What you are observing, believing, thinking is being matched constantly. And it's really good to know that that matching process does not differentiate between whether it's your reality or your imagination, because it's not looking for your words, not looking into your life. It's simply matching your vibrational state of being. It's synchronizing everything around you, in you, of you. It's synchronizing all of that with like vibration. And that's why they said, you too must have a high frequency, and you too must be without resistance. High frequency just means feel good. Without resistance means believing that you really can have the health that you want, or the relationship, the career, the family, the neighbors, the money, whatever it is that you have desires about, you can get the better versions of those. And people say, well, what about the school system? I can't change the school system. Yes, we do have an effect. When we are thinking poorly of it, we're not helping. When we're realizing that there are better versions, we're helping. We're actually changing the outcomes. We're adding to the positivity. the collective positivity, we'll say. So when we complain about things in our life or in the world in general, are we helping or are we adding to the unwanted? Pretty easy to figure that out. So what's in your escrow? I think it's fun to think about that. Like, what have I put into my escrow over these years? Because, like I said, the things that you already have that you like are there, as well as the things that you really like right now, but don't currently have in the physical. As far as, well, health goes, they tell us that it takes the body longer to get out of good health than it does to get back into good health. So, do you believe that vibrating on purpose will make a difference? That it will help you realize or make real the things that you want that you currently don't experience? I say try it. Prove it to yourself. Have fun with it. Because, like I always say, isn't fun the best thing to have? When you're having fun, you're in your vortex. You're syncing up with the stuff in your escrow. It just starts to show up to the degree at which you expect it or will believe. And fun's easy to have. While I was writing the outline for this talk, I was sitting on my patio. I had fun with 2 squirrels, 3 honeybees, and a mud bee. So having fun is not hard. Being in your vortex isn't either. So now that you know that, play around with it. See what you can playfully extract from your vortex without trying, because you're not actually extracting it. You're just allowing it to be real. You're allowing yourself to be in a vibrational space where you can see the reality of those things that exist that you right now can't see, maybe. So speaking of fun, I had a desire for an easier way to connect with you all and make teaching and coaching more accessible, because getting people together, especially for classes on a scheduled date and time, is not fun these days, especially crossing time zones. So in my vortex, I saw a solution that is in its gestation period. And while that's being put together, I would love your help. If you would, please email me at rebecca@mysticaltruths.com and let me know what you would like to have, hear, take part in, whether it's for this podcast or classes, if you're interested in online classes or group chat that you can take part in or listen in on. Or would a Facebook group be better? Would you like an app that you could go and get all of the access to these talks or classes, the group coaching maybe? Would you prefer individual intuitive life coaching? And if you do like classes or courses, do you prefer a series of short videos or a course in 1 or 2 videos that you can pause and come back to until you finish? I'd like to put this together in a way that answers to what it is you're looking for. And marketing is not my thing. If it's in my vortex, I've not seen it because it's just not my thing. And me telling myself makes it further away, but it's just not anything that it's not my forte. So let me know how I can best show up for you. And we'll make that happen as best I can, as best I'll allow. And I want to thank you all for listening. I really appreciate you more than words can say. Until next time, you can find me at mysticaltruths.com.